turn our stories writings and Clubhouse experiences into a one-act play, and how you approach transforming real lives into art with such care and authenticity.
I wanted to write the Clubhouse play because I knew, well, because I was asked to, so I did. Reason number one. How I crafted it was I wrote a 75-minute Clubhouse advertisement. And then Aaron was nice enough to point out, just make sure it has an arc. And I was like, oh, this has no arc. So I told my story, and then I told the Clubhouse story. And then I thought it was appropriate to take the book, Our Stories, and choose some of the memoirs from people who are no longer with us. So I chose 4 memoirs of people who are no longer with us. This is a great place, and I was back there and I wanted to stand up and applaud all of you at every line, but I didn't. So, yeah. Did I answer the whole question?
I believe you did. How you approach transforming real lives into art with such care and authenticity.
Okay.
You did. Thank you. Our second question is for Aaron. Aaron, as director, how did you navigate the emotional weight of this material while still creating something uplifting, hopeful, and deeply human?
Well, first of all, I hope we did that. Anytime you take a true story and bring it to stage, you have to respect the original kind of genesis of those stories. And I think hearing them in monologue form, kind of just stepping out of the larger story, reminds us that every one of those morning meetings is made up of all of those stories. I think that's important to remember. Anytime, and I think that's for all of us. Anytime you're in any table, there's a lifetime of stories around that table that you need to respect. And again, that's where the empathy comes up, right? Everyone's dealing with their own personal journeys, and sometimes those journeys are full of trauma. I think the joy around that table did a great job of sharing that these folks, everyone at Clubhouse loves each other and shares that love so generously. And I hope I think you did a good job of showing that, and I think the processes of Clubhouse do that. The inclusion that happens around those tables. But the respect that if that's a bad day, you don't have to do a lot, but you're there and you're embraced by the people around you. So I love that it kind of did that hybridization of the deep, sometimes traumatic stories, but at the same time the joy that allows that Clubhouse philosophy to work. And so it was fun to work with each of you, to bring this to life, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. What moment or moments during rehearsal or performance have stayed with you the most?
Awesome sauce is going to stay with you forever. I'm bringing that to every rehearsal room that I did. That is now the ultimate compliment that I can give to someone who's awesome sauce. Yeah. Right on as well, yeah. But I think the joy, again, is sometimes in a professional rehearsal environment, in a civic and rehearsal environment, it's not that joyful. I felt that everybody was there every second, ready to participate 100%. And that feeds me and reminds me why I do what I do, is that joy. So thank you for bringing that joy to me.
Our next question is for Anna. Anna, this must be an extraordinary full circle moment for you. Our Stories was your first labor of love at Clubhouse St, capturing the voices and writings of members. How did it feel to see those words come to life on stage tonight?
Yeah, I think it was both a very proud and a very humbling moment. Very proud, obviously, because this is something that was a project that I started alongside Lisa here and another one of my classmates back in 2020 during COVID, when everyone was, isolated and looking for new ways of connection. And so this project grew out of that and grew out of my love for storytelling and my real interest in empathy in the mental health world. And so I think this is a proud moment because it has come full circle from this book that we were able to publish, way back in 2020 when I was like barely an adult. And so it's really neat to see that, even then I was kind of going in the right direction, and this is something that, I now work, I am now a graduate student studying narrative identity in folks with serious mental illness, and so this is something that really was the foundation for what has become my career. And so it's really cool to see this, being performed on stage, and these stories really coming to life off the page again is really neat. And also just a very humbling moment, I think, because, in academia sometimes it's very easy to feel isolated because you're working to become the expert of your own thing. And so sometimes it's easy to forget that other people care as well. And so it's been really cool to see other folks who care so deeply about each other, about breaking the stigma around serious mental illness, about telling stories. And so it's really cool to kind of come back to this community space and see that this really is a community of people who care.
What have you learned about the power of creative expression and recovery through creation of these books?
Yeah, I think a few things, and really ties into kind of what I'm learning about storytelling and the power of storytelling in looking at people's lives. First off, it really showed me that creativity is something that is within everyone. And I feel like in our culture, it's very easy to like have people who label themselves as creative and people who label themselves as not creative, and for people who like aren't doing like stunning, stellar things with their creative work, it's very easy to feel like squashed down and feel like you can't really use your imagination, and you can't really do these like whimsical or performative or creative things. But through this project, it really showed me that creativity is something that we have inside of all of us, and oftentimes people just need a space to feel safe to express that. And so it was really neat to be able to both coordinate this book and our stories books that have published since then, that really just kind of give people the space to speak of themselves, and through this book to let those stories be heard, especially coming from people who are, isolated, disenfranchised because of their disability status. And it's also just shown me that, storytelling is something that impacts both the teller and the audience, because the audience is someone who, walks away with, a better idea of the person across from them. For the students who are part of the Our Stories book, this was oftentimes their first encounter with someone who, they knew going into the interaction that, oh, this is someone who is living with a serious mental illness. They may have encountered the concept in a classroom setting. They may have encountered the concept through, media that is frequently stigmatizing and doesn't really give credence to the person who's living their life, and also has a mental illness and is not just a list of symptoms. And so for the audience, they really come away with this stronger idea of who the person is. But for the teller, oftentimes this is a way to kind of look back at memories that are important to them, and kind of think about the way that they're functioning within the story that is their life. And so for instance, a way that this could happen would be like, if you have a really difficult memory and you remember feeling really lost and weak and vulnerable within that memory, but as you're telling it and the person across from you says, hey, it sounds like, that was a really, really difficult time, but also you were strong through it and you made it through it. And so that kind of rubs up against your idea of yourself as weak, and you start to see yourself as, oh, maybe what the audience member is saying that I am strong, maybe that's also true. And so by telling your story, that the story itself can change for you, and it can change in a way that is for the better, but also still honors the memories that you have and what you have been through.
Carrie, next question is for Carrie. Carrie, you're stepping into leadership of Clubhouse during such a pivotal moment, and you've also lived this story day to day and on stage. How did performing in Clubhouse, the play, deepen your understanding of the Clubhouse's mission and the impact it has on members' lives?
Yeah, I guess it's a great question. One of the first things, two things that really come to mind are that Clubhouse, a lot of it is really just based on forming relationships. We develop relationships, staff with members, members with members. It's about building a community. It's about building a sense of belonging, and we do that through building relationships. And one way we build relationships is just having shared experiences over time. And this, for me, has just been another fantastic experience to share with such a great group of people. And the ups and downs, and the laughter and the nerves, and just all of that has been a great experience. And I think a number of us will look back on this over time and say, that was a fun thing to go through together. And that's a lot of what Clubhouse is about, is just having those shared experiences. I think another thing that really stands out for me, and this was a point in one rehearsal, is just the juxtaposition between the early scenes and the sort of depersonalized, the rote, the vulnerability of somebody who's being admitted to the hospital, and really how Clubhouse is so different. And Clubhouse is part of, if you say that sort of continuum of mental health care, but we are not a clinical facility. We are a community-based facility, or a community-based organization. And it's about, like I said, the belonging and the relationships. And then we do that through doing the work of the day and the work order day. And you saw that portrayed. But they're really starkly different. And I think that's really important. And it's important to have this available for people who are experiencing serious mental illness. Because it is so different from the traditional mental health care system. So those are a couple of things.
Our next question is for Lisa, who we cite as our founder. Lisa, when you founded Clubhouse 10 years ago, could you have imagined this moment, seeing members' stories celebrated through theater? What does this milestone represent to you, and what's your vision for the next decade? So I'll give you the first question again first. When you founded Clubhouse 10 years ago, could you have imagined this moment, seeing members' stories celebrated through theater? And what does the milestone mean to you?
Okay, how long do I have?
I'll go like this.
Just kidding. Apologize for my voice, I'm not normally a tenor, but the very first thing I want to say is I get the credit for being the founder of this clubhouse. There are many, many, many people who were part of forming this clubhouse. And many of the the members of the former clubhouse, which was run by Madison Center, there were so many people. I think maybe I just kept showing up at the meetings, so then they said, well, I guess you're the founder. But, and the other, so, sorry, the question is, this is such a blessing. I'm kind of speechless because my heart, if you could see it, is just like bursting. This is so beautiful for me to see all you guys up here sharing things that are very personal. I mean, the belonging, the sense of belonging. When I think of Clubhouse, there's three words that always come to my mind. The first is belonging, and with that comes a sense of hope, hopefulness, that many people in the entire world don't have, but certainly people who struggle in this way lose hope. And when you don't have hope, it's not a good place to be. And then one of my favorite words of all, which I think Clubhouse embodies, is joy, or joyfulness. And when I'm at Clubhouse, that's what I have a sense of. And that gives me so much joy, that there's a sense of belonging, and with that, hopefulness, and you see the joy among the members. So am I overwhelmed? And yes, this is so beautiful. I could never really imagine imagine that it would happen. On the other hand, I could never imagine that, you know, I'd have amazing students like I've had, create these amazing things. And the leadership also that we've had at Clubhouse, thank you, Tess, and our former director, Mark Buchanan. I want to share with you, in my faith tradition, today is what we call All Souls Day, and we celebrate all those who have gone before us. And my mother was alive just for 1 year after I started working on the Clubhouse, and she was a very wise, astute woman. So I've been thinking about her a lot on All Souls Day. And she looked at me and she said, well, how are you going to get the money? I said, well, I'm not so worried about that yet, but I'm wondering who's going to help me lead it. And she said, oh, very wise. She said, the people are the most important. She said, you get the right people and all the rest will happen. And we at Clubhouse have been so very fortunate. So that wasn't the question, was it?
What would you say your vision is for the next decade for Clubhouse?
Oh my goodness. So many things, but I would love more than anything else, I'd love to ask each one of you here to somehow tell someone in your life that knows nothing about Clubhouse, tell them about this day and tell them about Clubhouse. It's a difficult thing to get the word out about Clubhouse. Sometimes if you use the word mental illness, people think there's an on-off switch that, you know, a switch goes off in their head. It's like, oh, yep, no, I don't want to know anything about that, or I don't need to know anything about that. I feel like the hope and everything that we offer, there's probably many more people in our community who could benefit from the Clubhouse. We've kind of struggled on how to get the word out there. So in terms of my 10-year goal, I would love to be in a grocery store and run into someone, and which I often do. If you run into me in the grocery store, you'll be delayed a little bit because I start talking about things. And so I might say, you know, well, where do you work? And oh, well, I help out with Clubhouse. Almost everyone I meet says, oh, what is Clubhouse? And then I get to tell them. My dream in 10 years is that everyone in this community, and Clubhouses are worldwide, would know about Clubhouse and would celebrate with us what a beautiful model it is and how life-giving it is.
Yusuf, what did it mean to you to perform tonight and see this audience respond?
Well, at first, I had to think to myself, in my mind, like, there's so many people out there. I was like, I'll just brush it off anyway. But what it means is, I'm just glad to be up here because I feel like, well, before I went to Clubhouse, I felt like I was the only one with a mental illness. But when somebody told me about it, I went there and I'm glad I wasn't the only one. And being up here performing actually enhances that memory. Even amplify the very thing that I like to do. It helps me get on the road to recovery, to make friends, socialize, even discover things about myself I had not discovered yet. So what it means to me up here is that I'm actually revealing my true self to everyone. The very true self that I should have revealed very long time ago. But now, here I am. My true self is already revealed. Thank you.
What about you, Jennifer? What did it mean to you to perform tonight and see this audience respond?
I guess it makes it worth it if you can pass on some of your experience to other people. It makes the suffering you've gone through a little bit more worth it, you know?
Is there one word or feeling that you're taking away from the experience?
I think the sense of community, like when we were sitting around that table, it was like a very strong connection with everybody, and, yeah.
And now we would love to hear from you all, your reflections, your questions, what moved you most. Let's keep comments brief so that we can hear from several people. We do have M ready, I believe, with the mic. So just raise your hand if you have a question or a comment or anything of that nature. Don't be shy. There we go.
How did Clubhouse first started and when?
Sure. Well, this is our 10-year anniversary, so we started 10 years ago officially, and we first started by trying to regroup from a clubhouse that formerly existed in the South Bend area called Sunshine Clubhouse. And when that closed, it was quite devastating for the members and the community. And so Jennifer was one of the members, and there were a few other members, and Susie and Lisa was wanting to help everybody to kind of think about starting another one. And so they started meeting at the Burger King and the Chocolate Cafe and various places until they had a more secure location to actually start providing services and programs for Clubhouse. And they met at the Zion Church initially. That's where Clubhouse was temporarily housed. And then we were able to get our building at 1153 Northside Boulevard. That had a lot of renovations made to it and such, but that's generally how Clubhouse started. It was a labor of love for Lisa and everybody else. There was a lot of funding that had to be secured to help to, we are grateful to be a small human service agency, and our building is paid off. Thanks so much to the work of Nellie Vogel, who was our former board chair, and many of his friends and associates, as well as Lisa and our other board members. Lisa, did you have anything you wanted to add about the starting of the agency?
Well, I love your question, and I think sometimes we forget to answer the earlier formation of Clubhouse, which I'll just throw in there very briefly. There's books written about it. In the 1950s, long story short, almost all of the state hospitals were being shut down. Medicine had found a new drug. They thought, this is going to be great for people. We can give them this medication. Now we can shut down all those hospitals. Basically, the Clubhouse movement started by several of those former inpatients meeting together because they were like, they didn't have any place to belong. They were happy to be out of the hospital, but they said, what are we going to do? Many iterations and several years later, people saw them and they formed a community. That community is still very alive today. It's called the Fountain House Clubhouse in New York City. And I'm saying this because if you ever get to New York City, visit them. It is amazing. Through that, in about the 80s, they decided, you know, there's other clubhouses that can be opening up in other locations. And so we need some way to govern those, to say, oh, if you're gonna have a clubhouse, then you need to have some standards, and you can't just say, oh, we're a clubhouse and we'll do whatever we want. So your question was answered that yes, we began this 10 years ago for this particular clubhouse. But if you go on the website of Clubhouse International, you can see all of the work that has been done internationally. And there's over 300, and I think we're up to 345 clubhouses worldwide. So it's an amazing movement. It works, and that's why it's being reproduced.
Anyone else? Questions, comments?
You got one back there?
I didn't get to see the play, but I'm part of it. I'm in the book of our stories. I'm story number 13, and recovery. And Clubhouse means a lot to me because I am in recovery 10 years. Clubhouse has helped me through 10 years. These members are not just members, they're my family. I look forward to them every day. I just happened to come with another member to writing a resume. And I saw Miss Lisa there, and Miss Lisa, I knew her, and Chris, it's like I kept wanting to come back because I felt part of it. And it helps you, what people don't understand, it helps people with mental conditions to get their steps back. And that's where I was, trying to figure out with this new body what I can do next. And seeing people that are like me but have different disorders, we have times, but it's fun. And we can put up each other. And that's why I say they're my family. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Katie. I just want to let y'all know that Clubhouse is more than just a place where you can go and get a family. You can also, through Clubhouse, I've been able to go to school at the library. I'm going through Vogue Rehab. I've got a certificate in peer support specialist, and it's all through the education and employment unit, and I really appreciate that unit. And Clubhouse has been a rock for me. I've got adopted sister there, hood adopted sister, and I just wanted to say that I love Clubhouse with all my heart, and that I wouldn't move out of South. My family lives in Texas, and I choose to stay up here because of Clubhouse. So, yeah.
I think that's the best closure we could possibly have to this. Thank you for that. Thank you for the people who shared. Does anyone else want to share before we wrap it up?
I just want to say something.
Oh, absolutely.
I, like Lisa, when she started, I went to the old clubhouse and we found out they closed down. We went to the door and it said permanently closed. That's how the members found out that the Sunshine Clubhouse through Madison Center was shut down. We didn't know what to do. I started getting sick. I was in and out of the hospital. And whenever they told us, we're like, well, why don't we just meet at Burger King the first Tuesday every month? We're like, the old clubhouse, the original clubhouses did that, why can't we do it? Then Lisa found out, and then we actually started meeting at the Chocolate Cafe. And I can remember they wanted us to think of something we can build from ground up. And the funniest one, we had an old member at the clubhouse. She goes, I want a swimming pool. So they were coming up with plans for like swimming pools and all this, rec room, and we're like, we just want to open our doors, you know. But it took us 5 years, and you know, I was there every first of every month. I was there because I really wanted the clubhouse because Clubhouse has grown big, and it's changed since we first started to what we have now. And I said my story in 2017 at the World Seminar in Detroit. And like I was telling Aaron, I know how it feels when you're standing up there and then somebody starts clapping and you're like, But he told me, he goes, it's easier to do a play than it is to tell your story. But we are telling our stories. We're showing you what Clubhouse does, and it affects people with mental illness. It helps people with mental illness. And I just want to say one more thing. I don't like to brag, but Clubhouse has been open for 10 years. I've been out of the hospital for 10 and a half years. And I think Clubhouse has been
I just want to say one thing to Jennifer Martin, who just stood up. I was part of another organization, and she was there, and she said, you should come to Clubhouse. And she kind of mentored me there and showed me what things were about. you know, so I wanna thank you, Jennifer, for being a mentor to me.
Thank you. Thank you to all the panelists for your vulnerability and your authenticity with the group, and thank you for the questions that we received. I did just want to thank you all again for being here with us today, because as most of the panelists have mentioned and a lot of the members, it's difficult to be vulnerable. And so you being a witness to that and sharing space and being a safe space for everyone to feel comfortable doing that today is precious. We honor that. One thing that I wanted to do as we're closing, I wanted to make mention again, thank you to Goldie and Katina who helped with registration. I also wanted our Becca and Rebecca to stand up. I wanted to thank Jason, Rebecca's husband, for helping us in advance too. But I would like to ask all of our, this is always hard for me to do, I don't know why, but I would like to ask for all of our human service partners to please stand. Anyone who serves in the human service field, front lines of clinical, social work, any of that, please stand, because you deserve to be recognized. We wouldn't be able to do any of this without you. So if you serve at Oaklawn or Epworth or any counseling service, we would not be able to do this without you. You are essential to everything that we do at Clubhouse, so we're very grateful for you. That concludes Clubhouse The Play and our Talkback. We hope maybe that this will come back again. I guess it remains to be seen, but we're grateful that it took place today. So thank you all for being here.